Hello everyone. So today we are going to be analyzing the common stock of BLNK charging from US stock markets. Please note that this presentation is not meant to be a financial advice, and the aim of this presentation is just to illustrate how to use the SharePreds mobile app. You can do the same analysis on any common stock and ETF from the US stock markets by downloading our application from the App Store. And if you want to download the application, you can just go to the App Store application on your phone, type SharePreds, and you will see the SharePreds-stock tracker text there. If you press on that, you will see here our application, the SharePreds stock tracker app, which provides AI-powered predictions, technical analysis, and latest financial news from the US stock markets. Let's go back to our application to do the analysis on BLNK charging. Let's have a look at the description of this company first in order to understand what they are doing and in which field they are active. So BLNK Charging Co. is an owner, operator, and provider of electric vehicle charging services, so which is a quite hot field, popular field in the markets lately. The company offers both residential and commercial EV charging equipment, enabling EV drivers to easily recharge at various location types. Its principal line of products and services are the BLNK EV charging network and EV charging equipment and EV related services. So with regards to the fact that the number of electrical vehicles will increase over the time, so there's a good potential for this company to grow in the long run. But let's have a look at how the company is performing nowadays in the stock markets. For the sake of this analysis, I will change the candlestick graph type to the line chart, but you can do the same analysis by looking at the candlestick graph as well. So in the last 1 week, let's start with the 1 week. So the price of the stock has increased by roughly 2%. But in the last 1 month, the price has decreased by 20%. So it's a huge decrease in the price. In the last 2 months, the price has decreased by 47%, which is quite huge. In the last 3 months, the price has decreased by 37% roughly. And in the last 6 months, the price has decreased by 57%, which is quite huge. If we have a look at the MACD and signal line graph, just under the volume graph here on the screen, at the bottom we see the MACD line versus the signal line and the zero line in the middle. We see that both MACD and signal line values are below zero, and the MACD value is roughly above the or slightly above the signal line value. So if we want to see the numbers, we just go down here to the technical indicators part, which is at the top of the screen right now. And we find the MACD and signal line on the left side. There we see the MACD value happens to be minus 1.43 and the signal line is minus 1.72. Ideally, we want the MACD value to be above 0, but at least it is above the signal line right now, which gives a positive histogram value of 0.29. If you have a look at the RSI at top of the screen right now, so we see the middle line there, which is representing 50, and the bottom line, the gray line there, is representing 30, and the top gray line there is giving the 70 RSI line. So the RSI 14 happens to be below 50 right now. It's been even below 30 lately, but it's not the case anymore. So if you want to see the actual RSI value, we go down to the technical indicators part, and on the left hand side here, just beneath the volume weighted average price, so we see the RSI 14 days, which happens to be 40.63 at the moment. So which is not very high, but it is at least above 30 right now. So if we want to compare the price chart of the BLNK with regards to its 20 days moving average, what we see is that it's been trending lately, very recently, below the 20 days moving average, but they are now kind of catching each other. And if we compare the 20 days moving average, which is represented by the white line, by the way, and if we compare it with the 50 days moving average, which is the yellow line, as you see. So the white line here is the 20 days moving average versus the yellow line is representing the 50 days moving average. So the 20 days moving average happens to be below the 50 days moving average, and the gap between them has been increasing lately. So you can potentially expect a correction, but you never know when that correction is going to come. Ideally, you want the shorter term moving average being above the longer term moving average. So in this case, you want to see that the moving average of 20 days should be above the 50 days moving average in order to be able to say that there's a upwards trend in the price, but it's not the case at the moment. And let's see if the price of the stock is trending above or below the 200 days moving average. So the pink line here is representing the 200 days moving average. And if we increase our time trend here from 6 months to 1 year, we see that, lately we see that the price of the stock has been trending below its 200 days moving average. So some analysts think that, it's not worth investing on the stocks that are trading or trending below their 200 days moving average. So there's no momentum there in the way they see and analyze it. Even if some people may disagree, maybe it's not the only thing that we should be looking at in order to evaluate if the stock is really worth for investing or trading for short-term traders. So the app also provides the short-term predictions by using AI. And if we have a look at the latest prediction for the stock, so the prediction date was the 1st of June. So this prediction is for short term only and is valid for the price of the stock until the 29th of June. And the price increase likelihood for this period starting from 1st of June is 49%. So if the prediction happens to be above 50%, then it means that the prediction the expectation from the algorithms is that the price of the stock will be increasing in the coming month, and if it's below 50%, the price will be decreasing in the coming month. But 49% is very close to 50%, which kind of indicates that the price of the stock will probably be lingering around at these levels of at the level of given reference buy target, which is $15.93. So it will probably not be changing that much based on the algorithmic prediction. But on the other hand, so this stock happens to be quite a volatile stock. So if we go to the technical indicators again and have a look at the volatility of the stock at the left hand side of the screen now, in the last 5 days, the volatility of the stock happened to be 7.6%. In the last 20 days, the volatility happened to be 10% roughly. So it is quite a volatile stock, especially if you compare it to the bigger stocks like Apple, Microsoft, and so on. So if we have a quick look at the financials of the stock itself, so the EPS trailing 12 months value happens to be minus 1.5. Since it is a negative value, the PE ratio is not shared here because it's going to be a negative value as well, and it can be confusing for some people, so it's not shared. And it is the case actually in many finance applications where the PE ratio is not necessarily shared if it happens to be a negative value. So, but this negative EPS TTM kind of indicates that the company is not really making profit as of today. But in the case of BLNK, maybe we shouldn't be looking at the short term. Rather, maybe it can be worth to look at the big picture with regards to the evolvement of the electric vehicles, and maybe this company may grow quite a lot in the long run. Rather than growing very quickly in the very, very short term, like in the coming month or so, or in the coming quarter or so. So if you have a look at the balance sheet from the latest quarterly report summary, So we see that we have the assets, current assets, fixed assets, and liabilities, and so on. So if you have a look at the liabilities, actually, at the bottom there you see the older the values from the older reports. At the top there you see the numbers from the latest reports. If we go from the bottom to the top, we kind of see in the last quarters that the liabilities have been increasing for the company. If we have a look at the latest three reports, so 14% increase, then later on 25% increase in the liabilities, and again another 17% increase in the liabilities, reaching up to the $21 million. So let's have a look at the income statement, which is maybe more interesting to look at. So based on the quarterly reports, if we have a look at the basic or diluted EPS, so we see that the numbers have been negative for a long time. So it kind of indicates that the company is not really making profit, but maybe due to the fact that the company may be investing quite a lot of money on developing their products, because it is still at the early stage for this company to develop its products and to mainstream their products actually to the markets. If you have a look at the operating expenses, we see that it has decreased in the very last quarter by 22%, and it went down from $21 million down to the $16 million, which looks positive actually. We don't know the reasoning behind it, but it decreased. Operating income or loss, so the company is not making profit, as you see on the left hand side. In the very last quarter, it happened to be minus $15 million. But on the other hand, it increased, or the loss has decreased, with other words, from minus $20 million down to minus $15 million. And the gross profit has been increasing as well. Compared to the previous quarter, it increased by 31%. And the revenues increased as well in the last quarter by 28%. And it increased from $7.6 million to the $9.7 million. If you have a look at the annual reports, so as you see here, we have the reports from the past 4 years. And if we focus on the cash flow part, we see that the net cash flow increased by more than 700% in the last annual report. And if you have a look at the details of it, okay, where is this money coming from? It is either coming from operating activities, financing activities, or investing activities. If we have a look at the operating activities first on the left-hand side there, so we see that the net cash flow has decreased in the field of operating activities by minus 124%. So it went down to minus $40 million. So obviously the positive net cash flow is not coming from the operating activities at this moment in time. But the financing activities happen to be increased by more than 500%, and it is $223 million. It increased from 36 to $223 million. So there's a huge increase there, but it is in the domain of financing activities. It's not coming from the operating activities. And in the field of investing activities, the net cash flow decreased again from positive $0.3 million down to the minus $30.4 million. So, and at the bottom, we see that there's no dividend history for this company at the moment, because BLNK is not really sharing dividends as of today, but they may start in the future. We don't know. And if you go further down, you can read the latest news about this company. You can press on any of these news, and it will take you to the relevant website where you can read the details of the news. And at this page here, you can see the introduction to each news article to understand what the article is all about. So overall, BLNK is a very interesting company, functioning in a very interesting field, which can potentially grow in the mid to long term. But right now, the company does not seem to be making that much profit. Is that important for long-term investors? I don't know, but BLNK is one of the companies in this field which has a great potential to grow potentially in the long run. But in the very coming month or so, apart from the very high volatility of the company, maybe the price of the stock is not expected to change that much, even if it will be lingering up and down based on the volatility it's going to have in the short term. So I hope you found this presentation valuable, and as mentioned again, so if you want to do the same analysis on any other stock or ETF from the US stock markets, you can go to the App Store application, search for SharePreds Stock Tracker app, download the app and do your own analysis on any common stock from the markets. Thanks for listening and see you next time.